Hi, I'm ED-SKaR for Back to the Brush podcast, and today I have James Broad from the Tanith Fan Codex for a little bit of an interview. Hello.
Hello, I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. And there's some interesting and exciting thing that's happened recently.
Yeah, well, I've been building this fan codex, and I've tried to spread some rules out to people, and Ed is the only person that replies to any of my stuff, so he's, I'd say, co-author at the moment.
Yes.
Or just throws random ideas at me.
The Tanith fan community is quiet, but there's a few of us who are active, and there's a few people doing artwork. There's a lot of people doing models, and the two of us are sitting at the back screaming about the rules.
Yeah, some of the models that come up on the Tanith Discord are amazing.
So good.
And I currently I then message a lot of the authors and go, which bits did you use, and can I please make copies of it? So my current McVenna model is a copy of someone else's.
Yeah. Usually I've got to the point now, given that this has kind of been my focus for the last year, basically, is working out all the different ways to make Tanith models. I can usually look at what other model and I know where every bit comes from. It's not always. There's a few bits that are coming in here and there that I don't recognize, and that's kind of cool. But for the release currently, what would you say the state of this release is?
I'd say alpha, maybe beta phase.
It's not finished. It's not polished and tidy.
I've got it's not finished. It's good enough that you could run like small 500-point games with a variation of some of your favorite characters, variation of units, because the normal guard are a bit lackluster when it comes to wanting to run an infantry-only army.
Squishy.
Yeah, I know that people that have run full 2,000-point infantry armies have over 200 models in the army.
Yeah, it's impressive to see.
Crazy to look at, but the aim for this is to have someone wants to play a bit of a fun game with the Tanith, using some of the best characters, and hopefully balanced. Because if ever in theory, you could just field like McCall and McVenna and beat a 2,000-point army if you would go by the narrative.
Yeah, they'd handle it. Yeah,
so I started on the base of when GW released the Gaunt's Ghost plastic set. Yep, those. And looked through the rules and realised they needed changing.
Yeah,
these tweaking,
are,
to be more exact.
Some of the rules here are nice and thematic. They're kind of cool rules, like Bragg's try again rule is a lot of fun. But this is
there was a lot of discussion about that rule.
Okay, yes, there is some wording that needs to be corrected on that, but it's a fun narrative rule. However, the first, second, and third in command of the Tanith regiment are in one squad, and as soon as you start playing, they get targeted and wiped out, which isn't very thematic.
No, so the first thing I did before I even thought of making the codex was I'm going to split these three characters up just for my own use, and then I realised, wait a minute, I could probably make a fan codex. There've been a few of those for past editions. It'd be a fun project. So yeah, I've done stuff with those three split to be individual characters and given the ability to actually give orders, because they don't have it when they're in a unit together. It's a bit weird.
So if we have a look at some of the data sheets that's been released and have just a quick look over each one, we'll start with those three characters. And so I've got Colonel Commissar Ibrahim Gaunt in front of me. So I
took the standard rules for him at the moment.
Yeah.
Same stat line. I thought that's pretty balanced. He's as cool as he is, he's only human. So, and then I was going through, and it was like, he's got his chainsaw, only human. Chainsaw, his bolt pistol, straight silver and grenades. Like, that's cool. I was like, I want him to have a power sword, because for me, he's always had the power sword. I know he, for the first couple of books, has his chainsaw. He has a great duel with it, but the power sword is the iconic thing for me.
Yeah. To put it into context for those who aren't as familiar with the Gaunt's Ghost series, the books now range 16 novels as well as short stories and comics as well. Of those 16, in that series. The first 3 and the kind of prequel one is Gaunt with the chainsword. So it's less than a third of the series.
Yeah.
He has a chainsword, and all of the rest of the time he has his power sword.
So with the power sword, I was like, yeah, it's a named power sword, the Sword of Conquest. It's supposed to be a bit epic. I was like, so what am I going to do for this? And I was like, I went through a kind of iterations of kind of made it a bit too powerful, and then I was looking through the most recent Guard Codex and was like, they've got this relic sword called the Sword of Conquest. And I was like, well, that's kind of what Gaunt did. He conquered the enemy and got given a cool sword. So I just used those rules. I think I gave it an additional strength to make it slightly better. But yeah, plus 2 strength, minus 4 AP, D3 damage. Not broken, but still can a bit of a whammy when it hits people.
Pretty powerful, and that is a good option to have. I think certainly, given how Gaunt has the habit of offing some very powerful characters in the books, having a plus 2 strength and the D3 damage as well, it makes sense.
Yeah, we always kind of think, you're in the books, he kills Space Marines, which in theory for a human should be physically impossible, but he does have a really cool sword. So
a human with a power sword and an awful lot of skill and probably a lot of luck and plot armor should be able to take down the Space Marine.
Yeah, so I've set it up for he comes standard with his chainsword, and then he'll get a small points increase to get his power sword.
Yeah.
And as it's based on the relic from the thing, I'm like, I may put something in where you can't take the Sword of Conquest if you have that, because technically it has that relic.
That makes sense.
Just to stop people running around 2 of the same sword, essentially. Although I don't think any other Guard character can really do combat like that. And then I kind of continuing down to like the special abilities. He is an officer, and officers in Guard can give orders. So he has the voice of command ability, so he can give his order. But then he is also senior, so he can give 2 orders, like any good commander. Because it'd be silly if Joe Bloggs down the road can do more orders than he can.
Yep, that makes sense. So, 2 voice of commands per turn is the same as a regimental commander?
Company commander.
Company commander.
Yeah, the company commander. Yeah. So yeah, I might put it up to 3 because he is like commander in chief of the unit.
Yeah, particularly when you get to Lord Executor Gaunt.
Yes, I might do like a separate set of rules for Lord Executor, just because it'll be a step
different.
up.
It's different enough.
Like he'll probably have. Yeah, so I've given him a 5+ Invon, because that's what all officers in Pure Guard Codex get, and also makes them slightly bit more survivable. I know he doesn't have one in story, but he gets the refractor field because that's pretty standard.
The refractor field is part of the standard equipment of a commissar, and so while it's never stated, it sort of makes sense that he would have one.
Yeah, if I make the Lord Executor version, he's going to have a 4+ Invon because he'll. Yeah, Colm and Rawn also have the refractor field because they are officers. Well, another rule, this is the kind of universal regimental trait, and it will just be called Tanith Camo Cloak on every data sheet, and it is each time a range attack is made against this unit or character, subtract 1 from the hit roll, and each time a range attack is allocated to this unit while it's receiving the benefits of cover, get +1 to its save. So it's a toned down version of what's in the official rules.
Yes.
Because in the official rules, they can't be targeted outside 18 inches. I've given that special 18 inches to another unit.
Yeah, the camo cloaks in the official rules have kind of 3 parts, and we've given 2 parts to everyone in the army, but the third part, that kind of you can't be targeted outside of 18 inches for a whole army, would be a little broken. And so
so that's on a unit we'll come to in a bit.
Yeah.
You could probably guess which unit it is. The most sneaks. Yes, that would be great.
No.
So
Callback.
Callback is a similar thing to Gaunt with the senior officer and voice of command abilities added.
Yeah. His stat line is the same, and his weapons are the same.
Yes, I've kept him with his hot shot las carbine. I'm thinking of possibly having a unit that has those weapons.
I noticed that the hotshot las carbine is no longer called Corbeck's hotshot las carbine because you're planning to give that out to some others.
Yeah, I thought it'd be kind of cool to have some kind, maybe a Corbeck's kind of special unit, as Rawn has like the Suicide Squad, which I'm gonna make it the Suicide King, sorry, at some point. Yes,
Rawn and Harley Quinn.
Yeah, I think Banda's her name or something, you know. And yeah, so having a unit of hotshot las carbine troopers would be kind of cool. So he's just got a normal hotshot las carbine. I'm still not sure if I'm going to keep their range at 24 or put it down to 18, being an assault 3 weapon for the carbines.
It makes sense to me that if it has got the term carbine in it, it has a shorter barrel and it has shorter range.
Yeah.
But then the model, as I'm currently working on some conversions for that, the model of the las carbine is longer than any of the las gun variants. So
yeah.
Inconsistencies. Yay.
Yeah. He's got frag grenade and straight silver knife, which is the knife that every single model in the army will be able to have, bar like a couple of exceptions who wouldn't have it, like our favorite Altani, Zuil.
Oh, and some of the officers from the Navy, Kref,
yes.
People like that, they would join the army, but they wouldn't have the straight silver.
Yeah, so they would be under like a separate section at the end, which would be allied characters and stuff that are separate from the army, but don't destroy the ability to have the Tanith cloaks to work. And then I've given him his ability from the official rules of being able to reduce the CP of a stratagem using an Astra Militarum or unit within 6 inches of him. Because before, it's just on his unit. But
of course, but because he's a character now, he won't be in a unit.
Yeah, so it's currently 6. It might go down to 3, which is kind of standard for kind of aura kind of abilities.
Okay.
But yeah, I've named it Lead Through Respect because that's what he does. People respect him.
Yes. I like the change because in the original rules they're just it's the Colonel Colbeck rule, but changing it to Lead Through the Respect, I like that. That's a good.
Yeah, make it a bit more flavourful. Yeah, and then Rawn. Yeah, so I've kept him Elijah Rawn as a major. People who are fan series know he does Brevet Colonel at some point.
I am in the habit of calling him Colonel Rawn, but
yeah,
at this time period.
Are gonna stay the same if you want to call him Brevet Colonel because he is a senior officer, has his las carbine and his knife. So, yeah, same stat line as the official rules. As I said, Refractor Field, senior officer and voice of command abilities. So he's actually an officer instead of a random person in a squad. And then I've called his ability Dirty Fighter.
Dirty Fighter.
Which fight phase,
absolutely makes sense.
Yeah, select one unit with engagement range of this unit, so within an inch of Rawn. Yeah. So the unit he's in combat with, they fight last.
Yeah, I think it's easier for Rawn's special ability because it doesn't affect the squad that he's with because he's no longer with the squad. It affects the enemy squad, and so that rule can actually change. It can actually stay the same. It doesn't need to be altered.
It makes a bit of fun using him because you could go charge him into combat. There's a unit he's in, they fight last, you manage to destroy the unit. There could be, you've got like a character that you really don't want to hit you first. And what normally happens is you charge, you do those attacks, and then you start alternating if you've got previous combats.
Could you use that rule defensively? I think you can. So if an enemy charges you, and maybe you bring Rawn in as a heroic intervention, or if someone's just charging Rawn, usually they'd fight first because they charged, but here they fight last with Rawn's special rule.
Yeah.
Yay! I get to punch them with my tiny, tiny humans before they get to squish me.
Yeah, well, the ghosts aren't bad in combat. with the -1 AP, the 1 AP knives.
Still only strength 3.
Yes, still only strength 3, but they're not all brag. I've started a Toner Creed on here, so I've got my obviously. Ed only has what I've shared up on the group, but I've got some bits and pieces.
I don't have the Toner Creed stats yet.
No, so I'm having Toner Creed as a captain. He's going to have similar stats to Rawn. I think it's just easier to make them all similar because remembering so many differences is going to be... So she's only going to have the ability to do one order because she's lower rank.
Yeah, okay.
So, and then I've got a name for an ability. I don't have the ability yet. So a Vergas Survivor, and I'm going to have, and I think that's probably going to be the ability for a chunk of the Vergast characters. I don't know what it is. So I thought I'd bring it up so Ed could maybe think about it.
There's things going off in my head, but I'll keep them for another time. Yeah.
Yes. So those are the characters that are HQ choices, and only probably going to have like maybe 2 or 3 of them in the list, depending how big the army is.
Yeah, it is kind of a shame that we have the whole box of 6. 3 of them are the command officers, but maybe you would only get to field 1 or 2 of them using the Fan Codex. But that doesn't mean there aren't options there.
But it also gives you a bit of okay, obviously you'd love to take everything, but it means you can stylize your list a bit more. So if you wanted
Always
to
want to take everything.
Yes. If you want to do a list where it's, Corbeck and Rawn have been separated from Gaunt, trying to rescue him, for an example, you could do a narrative mission, some stuff, because, Gaunt, he's stealthy, but not as stealthy as everyone else. Although, rules, he is stealthy as everyone else.
Except McCall.
Yeah, McCall is literally a ghost. So going on to troops choices.
Yes.
I've got 1 troops choice, and that is the Tanith Troopers, currently. And they are the same stat line as an Imperial Guard veteran. So they have a 3+ to hit, because the Tanith are notoriously good at hitting. Even if they're not snipers, they're good. Their models are good at hitting.
Yeah, they're well trained and well disciplined in last gun shooting, particularly.
Yeah, and it's a callback to when in 3rd edition, when you made a Tanith army, you could run platoons, but at that point, I didn't have much money, so I ran them as squads of veterans because you give them camo cloaks and stuff.
Yes.
So
good old.
So it's a bit of a callback. Yeah, so it's a callback to previous editions.
Another important thing about that is because the Tanith First and Only are an infantry-only army, we've got no tanks, we've got no Ogrins, we've got none of the big guns of the other Imperial Guard regiments, and so making the infantry's heavy weapons a little bit more effective with a +1 ballistic skill, it just helps.
Yeah. I've given them the same options as the normal troops.
Yeah, an Imperial Guard infantry squad. I noticed that there's some differences.
They have las carbines.
Yes.
Some of them. Yeah, so I put them as normal las carbines, although I made a spelling mistake and it should be Assault 3.
I noticed that it says Rapid Fire 3 where it should say Assault 3.
Yeah, so with all of my data sheets, they all started off as 1, and then they get copied and pasted a load of times, and then edited to be correct, because it just saves time.
Yeah.
And
it saves your mistakes as well.
Yes, saves all my mistakes. It's great. But yeah, so I put them as a test, have the last carbine, but I might make it so that only the scouts have last carbines, because they're supposed to be up and close and personal, and then you can give the 1st rank fire, 2nd rank fire orders, which don't work on last carbines.
Actually, that's because the point. Yeah, they don't work on... okay.
So they might go back to normal last guns, but yeah, they've got... they also have Street Silver, the Street Silver knives. So that's given that every model has it, because that's a very iconic part of the Tanith is their knives.
Yeah, and the straight silver, essentially in rules terms, it just gives a -1 AP to close combat attacks.
Yeah.
So it's another one of those little bits that help out the army, because again, we don't have the Ogrins, we don't have the other close combat options that the normal Imperial Guard would have.
Yeah, and I've put it through as a piece of equipment on all of the models because I want to give them a second regimental trait at some point. The original version we had was where the knife was part of the regimental trait.
Yeah, Cloak and Dagger was the one I was using in my my test games a few months back.
Yeah.
And that was 2 of the 3 bits of the cloak and then the straight silver.
Yeah. So that's the only troops choice I have at the moment. There is a chance to do maybe a conscript unit that is the Scratch Company. So you can have a thematic games in Vergast.
Which sounds like a lot of fun.
Which should be a lot of fun. And it works quite well. You know, they should take orders, but they're probably not going to. So it works well with the conscript rules.
Yeah. Just on the Tanith Trooper Squad, there is another change, or 2 changes, that I think are quite interesting. With the weapon options of the standard Imperial Guard, you get 5 different special weapons, 5 different heavy weapons. But here there is a 6th heavy weapon. The Heavy Flamer.
Yes. So Heavy Flamers, on the troops choices, I haven't put on, but for the veteran squads, they get Heavy Flamers as an option.
But this is in the Tanith Trooper Squad.
Thanks for noticing another mistake. I will note that down.
Oh, is that a mistake? Oh, I was hoping
Yes.
that was a deliberate choice.
No. So initially, yes, it was, and then I thought I know they're cool, but I thought it was too many special weapons for the normal troop units.
I would have put that I would have given that to the Trooper Squad, but given it as a heavy weapons option. So you could have a flamer and a heavy flamer in a squad, but you wouldn't be able to have a heavy flamer and a autocannon, for example.
Okay, well, I'll note that down because it could be a.
Hey, we're still writing this.
Yes, we're still writing this.
Because of the 5 special weapons, the light weapons, one of them
Flamer,
would normally be the sniper rifle, but here you've got the stat line for the long lass.
Yes. So sniper rifles in Imperial Guard currently aren't particularly good weapons.
They're a bit rubbish.
They're a bit rubbish. So I looked around at some other codexes to look at their sniper units, and I've taken the one from the Space Marine, I think it's Eradicator Squad, their unit of snipers.
Although, if I'm honest, Larkin's long lass and this long lass are very nearly the same.
Yes. Larkin's long last is
D3 damage.
D3 damage because his is much more tuned. He knows what he's doing to a degree that the other snipers just can't match. So it's less that it does more damage, it's more he hits better places on the model kind of thing and does more damage.
Absolutely.
And then each time a target is selected as weapon, it ignores the lookout serve rule. So that is the rule, for people who aren't aware, is what stops you from shooting a character that isn't close by.
And the potential here of the infantry squad having that special rule means that maybe we have a lot of opportunities to take out opposing characters.
Yes. So there are some armies like Death Guard that have a lot of characters that are very useful in their elite slots, and then I'm trying to think and a lot of armies have a lot of elite characters that help their armies.
Now, only doing 1 damage at a time to a character that almost certainly has 3, 4, 5, 6 wounds, it's going to take a while to take them down, so it's not too overbalanced. However, this is another thing that we're just going to have to playtest and work out.
Yeah, well, it's more of a thing of, for your low-level characters, your sergeants, lieutenants, those kind of things that you'll see. That, so, for example, the Guard Platoon Commander, I think, only has 2 wounds. So you can, with a long last, if you roll a 6 to your roll to wound, inflict an immortal wound as well.
Yeah.
And one shot,
so
more characters.
All of those Chaos Death Guard with their platoon commanders better watch out.
Yes, those characters are 4 wounds, so a few more sniper shots.
Yeah. Right, let's move on.
So the elites, I have the first one I've got here is the Scout Squad. So these are people that have been trained by McCall and McVenna, and they are sneaky people. So they definitely do have the last carbines. and they have similar rules to the troopers, but they have 1+1. They've got a 3+ weapon skill because they are better in combat. They have 2 attacks basic, and the scout sergeant or the sergeant of the unit has 3 attacks. This is not McCall. McCall is a named trooper, and we'll come to him later.
Yes. So this gives the Tanith infantry, well, specifically the scout squad, just that little edge in close combat. It's still not as powerful as a lot of like Death Guard close combat troops, but it's at least a little something without making the scout squad seem like, well, can a human really have 7 attacks?
Yeah.
It's a little bonus without being too much.
Yeah. And so they come with las carbines, frag grenades, and their knives. Their walker options, they can take similar to what a veteran squad can, but they can't take heavy weapons because this is a scout squad. They're not going to be taking an autocannon with them. They can take a heavy flamer though.
Heavy flamer is light enough to be portable by one person.
Yeah, and also with heavy flamers, even if you move with them, they automatically hit. So they make quite good weapons to have in a moving unit anyway. Every unit, I've said so far, that's a troop can have Vox casters, which are very
standard for Imperial Guard.
Standard for Imperial Guard. So the scouts have the standard camo cloak rule, but they also have an additional couple of rules, which are very, very good. So one of them is blend into the shadows. This unit is not an eligible target for ranged attacks if they are more than 18 inches away from the firing unit.
Yes, that's the one we're all waiting for.
Yeah, so they are invisible. So they are good for literally sitting on the back objective and holding it because no one can shoot at them. But that's a bit of a waste of the unit in my opinion, but that's one way you can use them. Also, this is one of the reasons why I made them a more combat unit. Is during deployment, they have a unit called Covert Stealth Team. So during deployment, when you set up this unit, you may set them anywhere on the battlefield that's more than 9 inches away from the opponent's deployment zone or any enemy models. So they are sneaky.
I'm just checking against my official rules here. And it seems to me that that's what would have been the command squad would have that. Because we've split up the command squad, that rule goes to the scouts instead.
Yeah.
And same story with the blend into the shadows. That's the third part of the cloak rule coming back.
I really liked that third part of the cloak rule, but I did a bit of testing where I did it on every single unit just for a laugh.
Oh wow!
And that was hilarious because I stayed over 18 inches away. Or no, I stayed just over 18 inches away, so I could shoot them and they couldn't shoot back. It was great, but was a bit overpowered.
I imagine it would be very useful against a shooting army like Tau or some of the shooting orc armies. But it would not be very useful against a very close combat army like some of the Chaos armies or close combat.
Yeah, so a Khorne army would don't care about it.
Khorne army is going to step all over the Tanith, I think.
Yes, but it's there for the thematic and makes them useful. They also I've given them objective secure, which is ability that all of the troop choice units would have anyway. So if they're on an objective and another unit is coming to try and take it off them, unless that unit as well has objective secure, they're holding the objective.
Yeah. And as essentially a veteran infantry unit, that makes sense.
Yeah, and the whole point of them, they scout ahead, they hold an objective, then the rest of the force backs them up. Hopefully.
Right.
Cool.
Is that all to be said about the scouts? I think that's covered it.
Yeah, that's all for the scouts. So you have the veteran squad. So this is a standard veteran squad, essentially, with all the upgrades. They can have heavy weapons, they can have the heavy flamer, and they've got the Tanith cloak rule and the Tanith straight silver knives. So they're quite
somewhere in between the infantry and the scout squad in terms of abilities and what they can take. Yeah.
So with my kind of where I look at the Tanith, they all are all veterans essentially, but the veteran squads have the access to more special weapons. They are specialized. They've got plasma guns. They've got flamers. They've got long lasses. They can take up to 3 special weapons. The veteran
3
squad
long lasses. Mm-hmm.
Yes, if you want. So the veteran squad that I run has a heavy flamer and 3 flamers.
I think I have that exact layout of veteran squad downstairs right now. So
yeah. So when I make the rules for Brostin, he'll be in that unit. He'll be replacing that heavy flamer guy, and it'll be his dudes. They will burn a lot of people. It'll be great.
I'm looking forward to that, just because it's going to be fun. They're not going to last very long, but it's going to be fun.
Yes, it is going to be good fun. The whole point, they run forward and they just go, "Oop, I have, 4d6 shots." It's going to burn through a lot of things.
Yeah. And then they're going to get burned through themselves.
Yes.
Because squishy.
So there are going to be the special weapons squad that you have in the normal Imperial Guard. It's going to be, they're just going to have the camo cloaks, the knives, and 6 models. 3 of them can choose special weapons. They cannot choose sniper rifles or long lasses because those are a separate unit. Because I feel that snipers need a bit better representation, like dedicated snipers.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah, so the snipers are. I've currently got them at ballistic skill 3, the same as everyone else. But I think I'm going to pop it up to ballistic skill 2, same as Larkin, because
contentious. There's arguments for both there, and I guess it needs to be play tested.
Yes,
but the Tanith Sniper Squad, is this now a heavy support choice?
No, this is an elite choice currently.
Okay.
Heavy support, I'm leaning towards heavy weapon teams currently. But there are quite high demand for elite choices, so the snipers may become heavy support.
It makes sense to me that the snipers are, even though they're elite and good at shooting and all of that, they are more stationary support weapons, and so in my head that fits as a heavy weapons.
Yeah, so the sniper units are units of 5 snipers. Those 5 long lasses in a single unit. So that will take out characters quite quickly.
Yes.
So they have the rules: find the best spot during deployment. You may set up this unit anywhere on the battlefield more than 18 inches away from an opponent or their models. So they're not as sneaky as the scouts, but they are sneaky still. So they've got they can set up anywhere, so you can put them on top of the building that you want, and they can shoot people across the board. It's going to be great.
Nice.
They also have shoot, sharp, and scarper. So this is a rule from the Rattlings unit in the standard Codex, and it is immediately after making a shooting attack, or other than firing Overwatch, this unit may make a move as if it was the movement phase, although it cannot advance. So it's repositioning, because snipers don't shoot from the same spot twice.
And with even with a heavy 1 in 9th edition, you can move and shoot with a -1 to hit, and then with shoot, sharp, and scarper, move back into cover.
Yes, if you wanted to hide them behind obscuring terrain, you could do something like that. Yeah. And that's why I was also thinking, giving them the basic skill 2, they're still hitting on 3s if they move.
Because they'd still be hitting on 3s if you do that. Yeah, that's there's options there. And again, playtesting is needed.
Yeah, so we then have a character that Ed made, that he shared a while ago.
Which one?
Narrow it down. As well.
Zweel, yes.
Zweel. So I've still got the picture that you sent me with your very nicely done data sheet compared to mine, which are just tables. And yeah, there are very things that I changed from this. It's a slightly changed priest.
Yes, I took the Minister and Priest and stripped down a bunch of the wounds and the strength and removed a lot of the weapons, because I see Eotani Zweel as useless in combat as a fighter, but more of a shouting and being encouraging and slightly blaspheming along in the background.
So I've got some... I made some notes on the character. He's got this quite cool ability, which is questionable verses. The original version is he may not use his War Hymns ability within 12 inches of friendly Ministorum units.
Which would require an allied unit to also have a Ministorum Priest for that to be relevant.
I want to change it slightly.
Okay.
They can't use their War Hymns abilities when he's nearby, because he shouts louder than them. It's what's going on in my head.
Yeah, okay.
So it's just a bit of a silly thing. Like if you want to have some blue bloods or something alongside, and they've got a priest with them, he just is spouting some random stuff, and it doesn't doing their thing.
Yeah. I approve of that. That is the correct way to do that. Definitely.
Yeah. And yeah, he's terrible as an actual fighting model. He's there for sheer laughs and giggles.
He probably wouldn't cost very many points. I think I put him at 15 or 20.
Initially put it at 35.
35, okay. But still not many. The only kind of expense of this character is not necessarily the points, it's the elite's choice that he takes up.
Yes, so there is an option of having him as a non-force organization slot, which I have some other units that could possibly go into.
That's a good choice.
Because he's not part of the army. He's an advisor that annoys people. Not the Tanith. Tanith love him.
Yeah.
So I have a preliminary for Scout McVenna. So just for playtesting, I'm currently using the rules for Slime Arbo that are in the that aren't in the Codex for the Imperial Guard. He's a separate thing. It's really weird.
Oh,
his rules are own.
Noticed that.
I'll just double check, but as far as I'm aware, it's only in the box that he came
in. Okay.
But so in Venom Blade, which is I'm going to have as McVenna's straight silver spear, because I've modelled mine with a knife strapped to a stick.
The straight silver spear is a dagger gaffer taped to a stick.
So it's +1 strength. It's going to be -1 AP, so slightly better than Slime Arbo's, because it is a straight silver on a stick. It's going to have the -1 penetration.
I think that's fair.
And then it would wound infantry models on a 2+, because it is poisoned with woad. Because he's been the McVenna I have is the one
poisoned with woad.
Whatever the stuff that the Nishkane wear, they're poison. The camo.
Oh, of course, it was woad, wasn't it?
Yeah, their camouflage is poisonous. So
yes, in the real world, historically, woad is made from urine and a plant that was crushed to make a blue dye. I guess if you use a different plant that's poisonous, then it becomes poisonous. That makes sense.
Different plant, some moths, So
that makes sense.
A good combat weapon that wounds people on a 2+. That's infantry models. So I thought that'd be kind of cool to show how. And then he's going to have frag grenades. I'm not sure what I'm going to give him for a ranged weapon. He's currently got the Ripper pistol, which is a range 12, pistol 3, strength 5, 1 damage, wounds infantry on 2+.
Kind of might go for the boring option and give him a last carbine.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I might do the Ripper pistol stats though for what a rainbow is.
Ooh.
Because those fire surprisingly quickly and are very powerful.
Well, they don't fire anywhere near as fast as a last gun does. I would put that as an assault 1. But I'd make it. I'd give
assault 2 maybe.
But I'd give it the poison rule as well.
Yes, and so he'll have the similar abilities of Sly, being able to set up anywhere on the battlefield, 9 inches away from an opponent, and can do some very, very silly things. He can blow someone up. He can snipe someone with a pistol. He can stalk someone with a blade. There's some very fun rules, but they're quite standard and accessible anywhere else. If you want to look up Slime Arbo's rules, you can see the rest of them.
Yeah, cool.
Coming on to the fast attack, which is, I think, probably one of my favourite units.
Fast attack for an infantry-only army is a questionable choice. However, there are just a few scant mentions here and there in the books that have given us the excuse to bring in
Yeah, so I have. So there's the first one is a Salamander Scout Tank. But
Ooh,
yeah, not what you're
interesting.
thinking. This is
I
one of my
wasn't
favorite.
thinking that at all.
This is one of my favorite units in the Imperial Guard. It's currently in Legends. It is essentially a Chimera that's been stripped down, so it runs faster with an assault cannon, not assault cannon, a auto cannon. I'm doing a Dan Abnett there, misnaming guns.
Yep.
And a heavy bolter. And originally they had a troop transport of 6 models.
Command squad.
Yeah, so it's a command squad thing, and they're no longer used. It's one of my favourite things, and they're used in the Gaunt Ghost books. So I thought this could be an option of having those as a thing for like Gaunt to ride around in, because he does that in Honor Guard.
There's constant mentions to like Cargo 10, Cargo 20, like almost like just logistics trucks. They're not battlefield vehicles, but every now and again there's a Salamander or another Lehman Russ variant maybe being mentioned.
Cool. And now to the one that Ed was thinking of.
Now the one that I kind of
squad.
did my really cool introduction for that you ruined. Go on.
So these are a reskin and tweak of the Genestealer Cult biker unit. Because there aren't really any human bikers. We can't have Rough Riders anymore in Imperial Guard, which is a bit silly. I really like the idea of having people on horses with lancers charging at the enemy in the 40k universe.
Tanith on a horse. I can see it. I can see Tanith on horses. That appeals to me.
Yeah, I could see it a few. But so I've got them on bikers. I've got them on bikes. So they are same unit that was in Necropolis as they were entering the city. They had people riding bikes.
Yeah, and in Ghostmaker, there's a section with Bragg commanding a convoy, and there were some bikes there as well.
Yeah. So I've given them all straight silver, and the normal Genestealer Cult bike unit has a lot of options on what people can have weapon-wise. Because I've given them straight silver as a combat weapon, that's taken away some of the options to just streamlined it a bit.
Yeah.
So the bikers can have either a last gun currently, or possibly a shotgun, I'm thinking. Yeah, last gun or shotgun. Because they're a fast unit, they're going to be up in the face. Yeah. It should be good fun. And then you'll have some special weapons. So I've currently got it. So 2 of them can replace their last gun with a flamer, a melter, a plasma gun, or a grenade launcher.
Yep. No long last here.
No long last, although I am tempted to maybe make a special character that is a sniper on a bike, because the Genestealer will have that model, which is really funny.
That is true. That is true. I think I'm dragging through my memory right now. There is a sequence where one of the Tanith snipers is on one of the buggies in Bragg's convoy. It gets hit and knocked over, and he goes down into the like cargo capacity of the buggy and pulls out his long lass and snipes from the broken vehicle.
Nice. Well, there is the buggy that is part of the Genestealer Cult unit. I haven't added in rules, but I'm thinking I might do, because I had forgotten about the buggy in the in that scene.
It is cool though.
Yes.
And if you are going to buy the Games Workshop Genestealer Cult bikes, the Jackal Squad,
something like that, yeah.
You
get 4 bikes and a
it
buggy.
would come with a buggy, and so just for the sake of, if people wanted to use this and use that and buy that model to make this squad, it makes sense for us to include that as an option.
Yeah, so the unit size starts off at 3 bikers, slightly different than the data sheet that I did share on the Discord, which is which originally was the 4 bikers and the sergeant. But I've got actually make it sergeant, 2 bikers, and then you can upgrade it, add more bikers, add buggies. You know, buying bits and pieces, it's fun.
Certainly the maximum squad size, making that what comes in the box, is just, it makes sense for the people who are gonna go out and buy that to make this squad.
Yeah. So currently I've only given them 1 special, just skilled outriders. So subtract 1 to hit when shooting attacks are made against this unit. So similar, they're so fast that they're difficult to hit.
It's actually less effective than the cloak. Do they also get the cloak?
I'm thinking not. Because they're literally running around and thinking, because then they'd be -2 to hit, which you can't do in current 40k.
Yes, it does make sense for them to be biking around and also be invisible somehow.
Yes, that would be hilarious.
Would be.
Yes,
Doesn't make sense.
Bikers may replace one of their weapons with a demolition charge.
Ooh, demolition charge.
Yes, so
They're not around much. I noticed
No,
the
they're
stats
not.
for the demolition charge. It isn't on the datasheet that I have.
Yes, so they're not. I was waiting to get a copy of the new Gene Stealer Cult rules because they have released a new codex recently, GW, for that army, and so I think the stats have changed for them. So I'm waiting for the updated ones because I want to try and keep it in line with what they've already written. So you can go, if you've played Gene Stealer Cult, you go, cool, I know what a demo charge does. It's less trying to remember a million different things.
Yeah.
But and they're just there to harass the enemies and probably blow up tanks with the demo charges.
Hopefully.
And I think we're going to have it so every single biker can take a demo charge, not just like one or two of them. All of them can take a demo charge down. But that makes the unit a bit pricey. They are one-use weapons, so...
Yeah.
Cool.
Playtesting is needed.
Yes, playtesting is definitely needed. Now going on to the most difficult part of the entire codex to write, the named troopers. So our named characters that we all love, but we can't have them as separate characters. We want them in the units, helping their fellow troopers. So the way that I'm implementing currently is similar to, I think it's the 4th edition Guard Codex, has a rule that you can replace a model in a unit for a certain cost. So, for example, Triogram Brad, I think I'm having for about 30 or 40 points. So he'll be going into a veteran squad. They cannot take a heavy weapon team if he's in the unit.
Yeah.
And he will just cost, he's a 40-point upgrade for that unit.
For any
given
given squad, yeah.
For any given squad that he can be into. Triogram Bragg, I think, will have the option to either be in a veteran squad or a trooper squad. But some of the other ones can only go in very particular squads.
Yeah.
So Triogram Bragg is the same as the datasheet.
Yep, I'm just checking that, and it's the same.
Yeah.
Same special rule.
The rule is reworded correctly.
Ah, okay.
So the original rule had the ability if he shoots and doesn't hit with his autocannon, he may shoot again. So rules was written, the original Triogram Bragg could throw infinite frag grenades at the unit until it was gone, and that would take forever to sort out. It was silly.
Yes.
So the way I've reworded it is he does not suffer the penalty hit when moving with his weapon. And in addition, in the shooting phase, each time a attack is resolved with his autocannon, if he doesn't hit, he may immediately shoot again. So it's with the autocannon specifically, he has to shoot to get the ability. Yes, and it's called Triogram Bragg's autocannon.
Excellent.
Yeah, so it makes it less argument, and he's pretty cool. 2 wounds, 2 attacks, strength 4, ballistic skill 5, because as we all know, he's an amazing shot.
There are orcs with better ballistic skill than Bragg.
Yes, but he will always hit once. He has to try again, but he will always hit once.
That's true.
Then next named character got
Larkin. I've got here.
Yes, Larkin. So he is 2 wounds, 1 attack because he's not a combat character. He does have a ballistic skill of 2
Ballistic
because
skill
he
2
is
plus.
an amazing shot. So he is the upgrade for the sniper unit. So he makes the sniper unit much better at finding things. So he has his better sniper rifle, which is minus 2
D3
AP
damage,
and D3 damage. And he does D3 mortal wounds when he does his hit on a modified wound roll of a 6. So in theory, he can do 6 wounds to a character. He has his special rule, Master Sniper, which is the same as the datasheet. And it works, I think it's much better in a unit of snipers.
Giving that to a unit of snipers, so that's the special rule that if Master Sniper Larkin is in a unit, enemy units targeted by them do not get the benefit of cover, which is certainly useful.
So that would be, I think there's one cover makes them harder to hit, -1 to hit. One cover increases armor saves. So things like that, you are getting shot with the full power of the guns. And I have the no force organization slot characters. So this is one I haven't shared. So there will be 1 second. So if you are a long-time Guard player, you used to be able to take command squads with characters.
Yes.
Now they take up elite choices. I don't like that. So I have done a little thing. So if you have a platoon commander or company commander or equivalent special character, you can take a command squad without taking up any slots in the force organization.
Yeah. They take up essentially one headquarters choice for the officer and the command squad.
Yeah, like it used to be.
Yeah.
And I like that because you've
back
got the
in the old days when things were good.
Also, it just means you can field more guard without going into additional detachments, which then reduces your command points. So if you want to have, for example, I'm going to have the Suicide Kings as a version of the command squad that Rawn can take.
Ooh. Given how powerful they're going to be.
So they're going to be a bigger unit because there's
13 of them, including Rawn.
There'll be 9 of them. Well, no, there'll be a unit of 10 with him, and there'll be, and then Rawn will be with them. So I haven't worked out rules for them, but it's going to be fun.
I'm currently in the process of rereading the books and taking notes.
Yes, and I will be stealing those notes so I can make sure the details are correct.
Yes.
And then for Gaunt, if you have one Gaunt in your army, not the Tyrannid, the actual character.
Look, I like having fun with my models, okay?
If anyone doesn't know, Ed has made a literal Gaunt ghost.
Gaunt.
It is a Gaunt. And he's also made a Gaunt ghost.
I have made... what was it?
So many fun.
It was the ghostly Gaunt's ghost, which
Yes.
was a Nighthaunt model. There's the Gaunt's Gaunt, which is a Hormagaunt model. There may or may not be other puns related to this coming out soon.
Yeah. Gaunt can have a unit of Scions with him, which is his bodyguard from Anak, and a bit of War Master. And they are just a normal Scions command squad. They can have all their fun upgrades.
What were they armed with? I think there was, as far as the book was concerned, it was 4 of them, and they just had the hell guns. But
yes.
For this, we're giving them. It's still 4 models, not the largest squad.
It's 4 models. They can take. They all take hell guns, and they can choose to take like plasma guns,
special weapons. Yeah,
all the special weapons. They've got a different special weapon as well called hell. It's a volley gun. It's some kind of volley gun. Which has got different stats.
Harker? Harker, is that you?
So I'm tempted to have one to be Harker from Sharp.
I approve. I heartily approve.
Yeah. So for this model, for the normal volley gun is this sci-fi weapon. For the Scions, I'm going to try and find the old Empire kits, the the Riders had multiple barrel guns.
That's a current kit. It's just on the Games Workshop website still.
Oh, is it?
You can just buy it. That kit comes with cloaks, and I've been eyeing them very closely for so long, thinking I don't want to pay I don't want to buy the whole box just to do a video on one cloak.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I might get one of those guns, and it'll be proper Harker.
If you do, send me a cloak so I can do a video on it.
To be fair, I'm probably going to order the single piece.
Yeah.
Off a bit.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So Force Organization character I've got so I've got Ezra Apnich. I've made a version of him.
The pronunciation of these words is forgiven because I don't think I've ever heard Dan Abnett in an interview say Ezra's because all of the Tanith just call him Ezra Knight.
Yes.
Because they can't pronounce it either.
No. So I have him, and he's got a rainbow, which is currently 18 inches, assault 2, strength 4, -2, armor, 2 damage, wounds on 2s on infantry.
Nice. Yes. So the same poison rule as before.
Yeah. I've given him Woad, but it's the same rules as the camo cloak.
Oh yeah,
I don't think he actually wears a camo cloak.
That's a good point. I don't know the answer to that. I don't think I've ever seen a specific example of him wearing a cloak. But then I haven't seen any mention of him not wearing a cloak either, so maybe not.
Yeah, well, no matter how you model him, he's going to have that ability. Yeah. I've then given him the bodyguard special ability, or I might change it to like loyal servant or something, because he belongs to Gaunt. So Ezra is Gaunt's bodyguard, and he never leaves his side. If he's within 3 inches of Gaunt, Gaunt cannot be targeted by shooting attacks. So even snipers that ignore the lookout serve rule can't target Gaunt if Ezra's next to him, because Ezra will notice and.
So you have to kill Ezra first, then kill Gaunt.
But if Gaunt is killed before Ezra must only attack the unit or model that killed Gaunt until that unit is destroyed. So he has a second rule, but it's Butol, which is what happens when Gaunt gets kidnapped on Jargo. When Ezra and McCall go and get Gaunt back from the Blood Pack that have kidnapped him. It's him literally going, I think Gaunt is dead, I must get my revenge. So he will go after, and so essentially he gets shot. Ezra will move.
Or killed in close combat.
Ezra will have to attack that unit until it's gone. So essentially, he will probably die. But that's the point. He's got to revenge his master. And that's all the stuff I have that is 9th edition rules for the Codex so far.
Cool.
I do have like 20 other pages of notes for other characters, but
I have a lot of notes and scribbles and maybe this, but actually that, and would this work? And a lot of it just needs to be hashed out, and then we need to play test it and see if it's any good at all.
Yes. Well, as most of your playtesting seems to be done against Death Guard, and I've got my Death Guard army somewhere, I'll do some playtesting against Death Guard as well.
Yeah. At some point, we would like for some people watching this video perhaps to download the fan codex as it exists at the moment from the Discord or the Facebook group. I think we'll put it up on the Facebook group as well.
Well, at some point, probably in the next couple of days.
Links for that will be in the description, and we hope that you can kind of play test this against some other armies as well, not just the Death Guard, and give us some feedback on. We are fully aware that this is not a fully fledged kind of neat and tidy codex. This is a little bit spotty and bitty at the moment. It needs some cleaning up, but we're at the point where we need some play testing against Tau, against Orcs, against other Chaos factions, just to see how it works.
Yeah, and in the comments below, kind of thing, you put any ideas you have for characters. Yeah,
ideas, comments, questions, concerns, rabid lunatic meanderings as well are more than welcome, because a comment is a comment.
Yes. I have realised McCall is not on this.
I did notice that. We can mention that just in the same way as Try Again Bragg and Mad Larkin were the same rules as from the official rules, but kind of
he does that,
slightly modified. He's the same in that way.
Yeah. Gives his scout unit a 5 up in Von.
Yeah.
Because they're even harder to find. But yeah.
Oh, wow. So you've got -1 to hit, -1, +1 to the armor save in addition to the cover. So you get a 3+ saving cover. And can't be targeted more than 18 inches away from shooting attack. And a 5+ invulnerable save for the whole squad.
Yeah.
And still they go down like a sack of bricks as soon as you start shooting at them.
Yeah.
This is the one thing that we found when I was doing my playtesting. I've done 6 games against Death Guard now. When I first told Ratman, the co-host of Back to the Brush podcast, the rules that I would be using for the cloaks, the -1 to hit and +1 cover save, He was like, wow, that's really powerful. This is going to be really rough to fight against the Tanith. And it wasn't. It helped, but he was still chewing through Tanith soldiers. I don't think there was a single game where I had more than half of my infantry left at the end of the game. And there were some where I came this close to being tabled more than once.
Yeah, no, it looks powerful on paper, but in practice, it's the same kind of power level as the other regimental traits that things have.
Yeah, I think that's sort of where we want to aim for. Is we want stuff that seems thematic, that might seem powerful, but practically it's just another little boost. And hopefully, once we've got everything balanced out, we get the whole army to be somewhat balanced with some of the other armies in 40k at the moment.
Yeah. And then you've got the idea of some characters from maybe High Command and the Armaduke to help out.
Some of the easy ones, actually. Like if you look through the Imperial Guard Codex, and some of us are looking through some of the other Codex, Genestealer Codex, particularly has some fancy stuff that we're stealing. One of the ones that I noticed was the Master of Ordnance, which is essentially an Imperial naval officer who comes down, integrates with a regiment or a platoon of Imperial Guard, and just has a Vox and calls in orbital strikes. I'm considering giving Beltane a similar ability because he's kind of the Vox officer for the regiment, but also having some of the characters like Kref from the Navarre, and also Derulin, who is the Master of Ordnance for the Highness or Armaduke. So that I expect you wouldn't be able to take both. So we'd say you can pick one Master of Ordnance, and you can either pick a standard one or you can pick Derulin or Kref to represent those characters from the books. And there's some other similar things like medics. There are so many medics in the Ghosts. Surgeon Kurth, Dr. Colding, Doc Dorden, of course, but also some of the orderlies as well that we'll be throwing in. One thing that I want to do, and this is something that you don't like, I know, so this is something that I'm gonna keep mentioning. I want to have infantry squads having the ability to take a medipack, because there are so many references to medics, to orderlies, to Dorden, Kurth and Colding being in the field during combat. Maybe not every squad, maybe not the infantry squad, but certainly like the veteran squads. Some squads should be able to take it, whereas normally in the normal Imperial Guard Codex, it's only the command squad that has that.
Yes. I'm currently trying to work out what I want the rules for the medipacks to actually be, because the ones in the Guard Codex are too weak. They don't.
I kind of like the idea of scaling them. So an orderly might just have a medipack as the standard rules, but then Doc Dorden needs to be better. He's chief medical officer for the regiment. Yeah,
so I think Doc Dorden will go more along the lines of the Space Marine Apothecary medipack, which is very powerful. Can brings back wounds to models, brings back models that are casualties, and it's crazy. Like it'd be much more balanced on guard models, where the Space Marines tend to use it on Terminators and things like that.
That's actually a good point, because even if the medic rule seems quite powerful, you're only bringing back humans.
Yes. One thing that I'm thinking of possibly doing is I'm not sure about bringing back named troopers or not.
Yeah, this is something that I've gone back and forth about as well,
because named troopers, all of them have 2 wounds minimum. Larkin, Bragg, they've got 2 wounds. McCall has 2 wounds. So I've gone with that as the trend that's been set by the previous ones, and gone, okay, these are tougher. They've got a bit of plot armor. That's the additional wound, essentially.
I like that. I think one of the core principles that I'm thinking of, and I think you're kind of on board with this mentality, is that we want to end up with a way of making an army to field it on the tabletop. That's what a codex is.
Yes.
So we're kind of twisting the lore. We're kind of taking references of them in the book, but we're not being too strict on it, because we're making the codex for the tabletop, and we understand that there is a dissonance between lore and tabletop. We want to make it as thematic and close as we can, but we're not beholden to that.
Yeah, no. So if you want characters like Corbeck alongside Colonel Wilder, for example, for shits and giggles, we should be able to do that. But if you want to be a bit more lore friendly with your army, then you wouldn't. But the option is there.
Yeah, absolutely. If you, if anyone is picking a particular era to set their Gaunt's Ghost army, we want to be able to set up our fan codex in a way that makes that possible. But we're also kind of making it so that you can pick a little bit of everything from different eras and mash it together in a very thematic thing.
So one thing that I said earlier was the way I want to make it for your named people. So you've got a normal flamer trooper that dies at some point during the thing. You want him in your army. He'll just be a flamer trooper. You can put a name on his base or something, so you know that the model you specially made for them is that character, and you can point out to your opponent, oh, you just killed so and so, and they can be like, haha, or no. But it doesn't affect the rules too much.
Absolutely.
But then if you want, say, for example, Captain Creed, but you then want to play a game a bit later on where you have Creed as a sergeant, she'll just be a sergeant with standard gear. You can still have your army and have the characters that were around when she was a normal sergeant without it breaking anything of your kind of army building. So there's flexibility in it, so that if you want to do very strict lore stuff, you can. But if you wanted to have a bit of a fun army, you can also mess around a bit.
Yes, it gives people the option of going both directions, which is a difficult juggling act to play with. But that's what we've decided to do this, and now we have to follow through on it.
Like doing it in the least complicated way possible.
Least complicated, yes. Well,
because if you go to look at like the 7th edition fan codex for the Tanith, there are like 40 characters or something in it.
Yeah, I understand exactly the mentality of the people behind the 7th edition fan codex. I know where that comes from. I kind of went down that line myself, because you want to, every single named character in the book, you want a stat line specifically for them. But particularly in 9th edition now, 8th and 9th edition, that individual stat lines being so different and special rules being so different doesn't work anymore. And so rather than having characters that make an army, we want to have an army that you can put characters in.
Yeah.
And that's one of the core principles. That's how I'm thinking of it in various ways. Well, we've nattered on for an awfully long time, and I need to
we normally do.
I need to go and cook dinner. So thank you very much, Jameis, for popping by for this interview on Back to the Brush podcast. For anyone at home, there is the comment section down below. You can share this video with anyone who's interested in playing the Gaunt's Ghosts in 9th edition. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.